In this video, I'm going to be discussing a scenario in which stimulus checks would be sent out immediately for millions upon millions of people. That's the focus of the video. Let's talk through the details. All right, now let me ask you a quick question. What is the number one thing that people need right now? Yeah, we all know the answer to it, right? Money. How do we know this? Look at any of the financial reports that are coming out right now. The American people as a whole are really struggling. Now, seriously, look at all the reports. Why do you think we have way over $1 trillion in credit card debt right now? And why do you think 56% of people are delinquent on bills right now? Because nobody has any money. We're floating balances on credit cards. We're late on car payments. We're late on all of our bills because nobody has any money. We're trying to scramble around and scratch up any last money we can possibly find right now. And that is a major problem. Now, why is this coming around right now? And why are people struggling so much financially? Because of all the inflation that we've had over the last couple of years here. Incomes have not kept up with that, and all of this inflation has been siphoning cash out of our pockets left and right for the last 3 years. And they basically taken all the money that we have. Anybody that has any money saved up right now is basically dry. We've got nothing left, and we're basically just scraping along the bottom. That is literally the situation right now for the vast majority of people all across the country. But in this video, I do want to discuss one scenario in which stimulus checks would be sent out immediately, very quickly. And we saw this a few years ago, but I do want to explain this really fast here. Now, I know a lot of you here in this community reach out on a very regular basis because I see your comments down below in the comment section asking, are we going to be getting something? If so, how much is it going to be? Who's it going to include? When are we going to get it? All of the details like this, okay? Now, again, I'm continuously watching everything very closely, and you've heard me say before in other videos, it all comes down to the economy. I know, not the answer that we wanted to hear here, but this is the reality of the situation, okay? So let me explain the details in which stimulus checks actually would be sent out very fast if this situation actually plays out. Now, here's the thing. As of right now, we're starting to see the economy contracting. Now, obviously, this is a very slow-moving thing. It starts out very slow. It takes a very long time for something like this to happen. However, once we start to see kind of the crash and burn start to happen, it generally happens very fast, where we start to see things kind of unravel very quickly. But getting to that point takes a long time. It can take years getting to that point. Well, guess what? How long have we been going through this situation? It's already been a few years, right? So I'm just saying, anything could happen very fast here. All it simply takes is one catalyst and boom, there we go, okay? So anyway, let me explain the details about this really fast here. What could actually send out stimulus checks very quickly? Major increases in unemployment, okay? Now again, it seems a little bit contradictory, like, wait, how does this have anything to do with stimulus checks? This crazy fool has no idea what he's talking about. Whatever, that's fine. If that's what you want to think about me, that's totally fine. I don't really care. But my point is, I know this stuff, I watch this stuff very closely, and I watch the economy, I watch all the economic data very closely, but a lot of it stems from the unemployment rate, okay? Now, we can walk through it and talk about a bunch of other factors as far as economic data and all kinds of things like this, but honestly, you probably don't really care. But my point is, it all comes down to the economy. The purpose of stimulus checks are, guess what? To stimulate the economy. That's literally the purpose of stimulus checks. That's why they're called stimulus checks, or otherwise why they're called economic impact payments. That's literally what they're called, and what they called them for the last couple of years here is EIP. Economic impact payments, because they want to impact the economy, okay? It's literally what they're for, okay? They don't care about us. It's not about our needs. It's about getting what they want, which is stimulus into the economy very quickly, okay? But anyway, you've heard me talk about that before in other videos. But really quickly here, let me explain the details about this. So if we see a rapid rise in the unemployment rate very quickly, which it can happen. If you don't believe me, think back to early 2020. What happened? We had unemployment rate, the unemployment rate and people unemployed go from normal numbers, a few million people a month, up to over 40 million people in about 1 month's time. Do you think that's a rapid increase? Yeah, that's very fast, okay? That was incredibly fast. Why? Because everything was closed down. Now, I am not sitting here suggesting we're going to go into a major shutdown and things like that, like what we saw in early 2020. I am not saying that. In fact, I don't think that's going to happen. I'm not saying that's going to happen at all. But could we see a major uptick in unemployment very quickly? And when I say unemployment very quickly, I mean It could take a couple months. That's still relatively quickly. Usually on a monthly basis, we have a couple million people that are filing for unemployment benefits on any given month, okay? That's just regular. This is what it always is. It's just, it ebb and flows, it moves up and down. But again, when we see a major uptick, as in a lot of people, millions of people all of a sudden becoming unemployed over the course of maybe a couple months or maybe even 3, 4, 5, 6 months, that's still very rapidly. If we see the unemployment rate go from the current levels that it's at now, which is actually pretty low, up to maybe 4.5, 5, 5.5, 6, 6.5, 7, you better believe they're going to start injecting massive amounts of stimulus into the economy very quickly. They do it every single time. Why? Because the unemployment rate gives us a key factor into the health of the economy, right? If people are not employed, as in if businesses are not hiring, if they're laying off, if they're reducing payrolls, what is that telling us about the economy? Does that say the economy is so strong and robust that we don't need all these people anymore in the workforce? No, it's telling us that the economy is really weak and that businesses need to lay people off in order to stay afloat because payrolls are their number one expense for most businesses. Now, obviously not every business. For the vast majority of businesses, payrolls are their number one expense. So what can they do to preserve capital? Lay people off that they may not need, anticipating a major downturn in the economy. That's what happens every time, and we see this all the time. It's somewhat of a leading indicator, not always, but sometimes before we see the major crash in things, we start to see businesses lightening up their payrolls because they see on the horizon, we see some storm clouds out there, and this may not be so good. We should probably lighten up the payrolls a little bit. So when it comes down to this, the number one economic data point that I'm watching when it comes down to future stimulus checks is, again, the unemployment rate, okay? Again, I know it seems a little bit disconnected, like this has nothing to do with stimulus checks potentially going out to the people. Let me tell you this much, it does. Look back in history. Look back at all the major recessions we've seen in the last, call it 25 years. You see this every single time. The unemployment rate goes way up really fast, relatively quickly. And then boom, what do we see? We see lawmakers come out, pass hundreds of billions or trillions of dollars in stimulus, and they call it whatever they want. It could be called QE, quantitative easing. It could be called Operation Twist. It could be called the CARES package. It could be called the American Rescue Plan. It could be called who knows what. Give it some fancy name, whatever you want to call it. And that's what they will call it next time, and they'll just put a little, fancy name on it. But basically all it is the printing of hundreds of billions or trillions of dollars, and a lot of times there's a little scrap of money in there called stimulus checks for the American people, but a lot of it goes out to bailing out large corporations and stuff like that as well. So this is the number one factor, and again, it would not take all that long. It would not take that much of a catalyst to really have this thing go down quickly, as in the economy. And this would trigger stimulus checks very, very quickly. We've seen it happen many times before. Again, if you don't believe me, go back and look in history. In 2000, 2001, 2001, we saw them. 2008, 2009, saw it then. 2000, 2001, we saw it then. Same situation. So feel free to check it out. Otherwise, that's what I want to share with you here in this video really quickly. If you have not done so yet, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Totally free to do so. There's a big subscribe button right down below the video. Share the video with your friends on social media. Totally free to do so with the share button down below. Otherwise, go back and check out any of the other thousands and thousands of videos here in the video library here on the channel. Otherwise, those that I have linked down below in the description or at the top of the comment section. And as always, leave your comments, your questions, your feedback down below. Until next time, enjoy your day. Take care. Have a good one. And I'll catch you again later in the next